What is up, guys? It's your boy here, and today I'm back at it with another video. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about how the Bible helps us to create good habits and how we can create better habits for our lives in general, but I'm going to give a bit of scripture to support this as well. So the first thing is to change your mindset and your way of thinking about things. Are looking to create a new habit, we usually have these cues that come up that trigger us to do a bad habit. So for example, if your bad habit is to watch porn, then you might be scrolling on Instagram or TikTok and see some girls dancing, blah blah blah, and that instantly in your subconscious mind triggers you to go and do whatever you need to do. So in order to try to combat that, we have to try to change our mindset and also change the triggers and the cues around us. So I'm going to be getting into all those steps. The first one is to change your mindset. Like, do a mindset shift of, right, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't who I am. I'm not the kind of person that does this, right? So in Romans 12:2, it says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. So it's not that you necessarily have to be a man of God in order to change your mind, but you have to change your mind in order to become better. So David Goggins puts it really well when he says you have to callous your mind. So when things are going tough, or when you're trying to change something and it's difficult because you're used to that way of thinking, or you're used to doing those kind of things, could be into addictions as well, okay, then you have to change your mind and you have to callous it when it gets hard. Okay, so what I mean by callous it is, no matter what, I'm gonna get this done. No matter what, I'm not gonna do XYZ. Okay, so you have to be really on it, and when things get tough you have to push through it. But you also have to make things easier for you, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. But you have to do things in a way that makes sense. So I'm going to go into step number 2 to give you an example. So you have to make it clear, okay? And what that means is you have to really either isolate yourself, or you have to make it obvious whatever the habit is, so that you don't have any external influences, or as little as possible. So if you're trying to say drink more water, then you have to put bottles of water everywhere that you go, on your desk at work, in your car, bedside table, on your way out next to, I don't know, the kitchen table or the kitchen island or whatever. When you're on your way out of the house, you have to put water everywhere so that it triggers you to, take a sip here, take a sip there, and then you get into the habit of always drinking water. If you want to stop a habit, you have to make it really hidden and difficult and hard. So if you want to stop watching porn, for example, then you have to either stop following these girls on social media, or you have to block suggested reels and stuff like that. When you get these girls dancing on your reels, on your feed, then you tap it, and then you go onto the 3 dotted lines and you press like, I don't like this, or hide this, or whatever it says on there, so that it doesn't keep appearing, so that Instagram's algorithm starts suggesting different things. Okay, that way you won't be tempted to lust. If you're trying to stop eating bad foods, then you just stop buying them, and then if you don't have them in the house, you're less likely to buy them. And then if you have fast food apps like Uber Eats, or you have fast food restaurants on your phone like McDonald's app or whatever like that, you delete those apps, so that again it makes it more difficult for you to order junk food in, or to have it already in your house so you wouldn't buy it. So that is really difficult to achieve it. Okay, so if you want to make a good habit, then you have to really make it easy to be able to do it. And if you want to make a habit really hard, like a bad habit, then you have to make it really hard so that you're less likely to do it. Okay, and in Luke 5:16, it says that Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. So even Jesus, when he wanted to pray, when he wanted to be with God, he didn't want too much noise around him. He didn't want people bugging him. He didn't want people surrounding him. He didn't want external influences that could have said negative stuff to him about God and try to deter him from believing in God. Because remember, back in those days, it was literally just Jews, okay? It was the Israelites. And then there was the pagans and all the other religions, but where Jesus was in his community, it was the Israelites mainly. So they believed in God, but they didn't believe that he was the Messiah. So if he was to go speak to God in front of all the people and pray to God in front of all the people, a lot of the time they would, either berate him for it, say negative stuff, call him out, say he's a liar, say this, say that. So he would often withdraw to lonely places where it's just him, so he could have that connection with God in peace and create that habit for himself. So the next tip in order to create a good habit is habit stacking. So if you want to do multiple good habits, one after the other, is really a good way to cue the next habit. So for example, when you wake up in the morning, if you don't make your bed, but you brush your teeth, for example, which hopefully everyone does, because you should. But if you want to get into the habit of making the bed, it's the alarm goes off. That's the cue to get out of bed. Once I'm out of bed, that's the cue to make my bed. Once I make my bed, that's the cue to go brush my teeth, for example. And that's a really good way of picturing habit stacking. It's one after the other, okay? So if you want to go to the gym and your preference is to do it after work, you already have your gym bag with you at work to make it easier, so you don't have to go home, change clothes and go to the gym. You just change at work, or you take your gym bag straight to the gym in your work clothes, and you change at the gym. Because once you're already in there, you're not going to want to then, scoot back out. It's going to look embarrassing. You just walked in. You're not going to walk back out, are you? So you take your gym stuff with you to work. And as soon as 5 o'clock rolls round, or whatever time you finish work, and there's that cue that, you're out of the door from work, you go straight to the gym. Nowhere else, no other thoughts, straight to the gym. And it is hard to do, and you are going to doubt yourself, and you are going to try to talk yourself out of it. But what you do is you try to minimize the friction as much as possible by having your gym stuff with you, by having that cue that as soon as you finish work, you're going to the gym, by having your workout routine already planned, whether that's on an app with a personal trainer or just you planned it yourself. All of these things are going to help to create less friction. And also the habit, the habit stacking side of things, you just finished work, which is your normal habit, hopefully. So then once you finish work, you go straight to the gym. The fourth tip is to change your environment. So this could be to change around the people who you hang out with, but it could also be to change your physical environment. So if your bedroom's messy, you're less likely to get work done. If your desk at work is busy and messy and papers everywhere and disorganized, you're less likely to get work done. Why? Because when things are messy around you, it confuses your mind. It messes up with your mind. You don't know what to look at, where to pay attention to, and you kind of lose yourself in it a little bit. You get lost in the mess. And not only do you get lost in the mess mentally, but you sometimes get lost in the mess physically. If there's loads of papers everywhere, you don't know which paper that has the information that you need is. You have to go find it literally in the stack in your office. So if you keep everything organized and in its place and tidy, it makes the space clearer and easier to work. So it improves the workflow, but it also improves your mindset, and trying to find something becomes easier. So you can literally just be more in a flow and everything works really well and smoothly. Okay, you don't want to be trying to find a piece of paper or a document for 10-15 minutes, because then you lose track of what you were doing in the first place and why you needed that document. But it also means changing your environment in terms of where you are, where you go, the location, the people you hang about with, the vibe of that environment. So if, for example, you're in a toxic work environment, then it's going to negatively impact your mindset, your mental health, your productivity, because, you know, people are toxic, people are jealous, people are berating you, whatever it may be. Okay, hopefully it's not too bad where people are berating you, but it can be. So in that instance, you have to really think about what you're doing and why you're there. Okay, you're not going to work to, you know, have all these negative feelings and stresses and you know, people talking crap about you. You're really gonna try to be in a place where you're just doing your work and you're going home and you're getting paid, and that's it really. You don't want to be stressing too much, or you want to be doing something that you ideally love and it's a positive. You're going to change your environment if it's a negative one, or for example, if you're in a dangerous neighborhood, or if you're addicted to alcohol, drugs, then you have to then change the people that you hang around with. So in Luke 4:16 it says, he went to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. On the Sabbath day, he went into the synagogue, as was his custom. He stood up and read. And that's talking about Jesus, okay? So Jesus would change his environment, go to a specific city, in this case Nazareth, and he would go into the synagogue and perform his habit, which was to stand up and read. Okay, so it wasn't like he would just do it anywhere and everywhere. Sometimes he would, but his habit, his custom, was to go into the synagogue. In Nazareth specifically, that was his environment to do that habit of reading. Okay, it wasn't that he was going into you know, a nightclub and reading the gospel in there. Okay, that wasn't the right environment for him to perform that habit. He wouldn't be in peace, he'd be distracted, there'd be people all around him, people coming up to him and talking to him. So if he wanted to be in peace, that's where he would go. So you have to choose where you're going to be in peace to perform your habits. If you want to read, you're not going to go to a really loud, noisy environment where people are going to be walking past and distracting you. You might go to the park if it's a peaceful one and it's a nice sunny day and you just want to enjoy the sun and read while, you know, the sun's hitting your skin and warming you up. Or if you're going to be, for example, trying to go to the gym, you're not going to stay in your room and do it. I mean, you can do some exercises, but the best environment for your workout would be in the gym, because you have more equipment and you have like-minded people who are into fitness. And especially if you haven't been into fitness, then you're going to want to surround yourself with people who know what they're doing and, you know, can help you really, because you'll have personal trainers and stuff in there. So tip number 4 is all about finding the right environment for the habit that you're trying to perform, and if possible, go to it to be able to inspire you or help you or provide you with the right peace or with the right vibe in order to do that habit. The 5th tip is to change your desires. And when I say change your desires, it's about really changing your mindset, but and also like who you want to be. So if you want to start the habit of reading, and so you can, you know, improve your vocabulary and become a bit wiser and learn new things, then you're gonna adopt the identity of a reader. Okay, someone who's an avid reader, who has loads of books in their house and who reads consistently. So you're gonna change your desire, but your identity of who you are, and you have to try to imagine yourself as that person. What would this person be like if I was to act like them, and then try to mimic that. If you're trying to be healthier, then you're going to want to change your desire, and you're going to want to change your mindset so that it shifts your identity into a healthy person. What's a healthy person going to do? Well, they're not going to buy junk food from the shops. They're going to buy healthy food. So when they go into the shop, they're going to go into the fruit and veg aisles. They're going to look up new healthy recipes. They're going to work out, whether that's in the gym or playing sports or just going for a walk. They're going to count their calories. And they're going to do all these things to try to improve their health in loads of different areas and loads of different ways. So when you're trying to build a new habit, you have to adopt the identity that a person already doing that habit would have. You have to try to mimic them, okay? So be a copycat. It doesn't matter. You know, everyone copies everyone in some way. They'll take bits here and there that they like about certain people and try to copy them, and that's absolutely fine. So when you're trying to create a new habit, you have to copy someone that's already doing it so that you can then become that person in the future. And in Ephesians 4:22-24, it says, "You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on your new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." Now, the last bit is about being more spiritually righteous and holy and all that stuff. But the first two parts, the first two verses, 22 and 23, where it says, "Take off your old self and change the attitudes of your mind and get away from your deceitful desires," it's all about changing who you are, changing your identity, changing the way you look at things, changing your mindset from, "Oh, I don't like going to the gym, I get tired," to, "I get to go to the gym and actually work on my health," or, "I get to go to the gym and try to get a little bit stronger." Do you know what I mean? You have to change your mindset on how you look at things, instead of looking at this, "Oh, this is too difficult, this is hard, this is challenging, this is going to push me." And also you have to be careful, as a bonus tip, not to make things too difficult and too impossible. You're not going to, become a marathon runner overnight. So you're not going to, if you've got a marathon in your city and you want to become, competing in a marathon, you want to be a marathon runner, or you want to just run one for fun, for example, you're not going to sign up for one that's in 2 months' time, because you're not going to be ready for it and you're really going to be doing yourself a disservice there. But if there's a marathon in 6 months or in a year, then sign up to that, one, so you have the commitment already signed up to it, but also so that you have that time to train and to become that person. Because small habits, like drinking more water, we can start really immediately and become better, but we also have to start small and build up to it, right? But if you're trying to do a big new thing that's a big task, like reading loads of books, like say a couple of books a year, a couple of books a month, however many you want to read, or running a marathon, these are big things that you need to have to build up to, and that are going to take time either to train for, or they're going to take time to do. Reading takes time. So don't expect these things to come overnight, and don't give yourself false hopes that it is going to magically happen straight away. You got to be realistic with yourself and with what you're trying to do. Try to adopt the new identity of that person as soon as possible, but be mindful that it's going to take time for you to fully adopt it and become that person. You're not going to just switch personalities overnight. Okay, guys, I hope that video helped you. I hope you can create your new good habits, and I hope you stay blessed. Peace.